Hey everybody, it's Mickie Giacomini, your host of Let's Talk Shop. And we are in the middle of our series for the season of stress. And this week we have not only local celebrity, but local Sacramento favorite, chef of the universe, Joe Thompson from Crisp Catering. Hey Joe, how are ya?
Great, Mickie. Happy holidays.
Oh, thank you, Joe. You too. I'm so thrilled to have you on the show. We've done a lot of stuff in the past with a lot of different projects and so forth. So it's exciting to have you on Let's Talk Shop this week.
I'm glad to be here.
Well, great. So now Joe has been invited to come help all of you viewers out there that are already embarking on all those holiday meals that you're thinking about. And you're going, oh my God, how am I going to do all this? Because it is stressful. It's a tough time of year. So Joe, what kind of advice do you have for our viewers?
I've got some great advice. The very first thing is make a plan and start your plan early. Give yourself 2 or 3 weeks so you kind of know what you're going to do. But the way you work on this plan is you're going to start at the finish and work your way backwards. So if you're having Thanksgiving, for example, at your house, you want to think about what's going to happen at the end and what's going to be on the table, and then work your way backwards. Because as you do that, you'll realize that you might not be able to fit the turkey, the potatoes, the vegetables, the pie, all that in the oven until you actually see what it's supposed to look like at the end. And then if that's the case, you just work yourself backwards to find out when you can get certain things out of the oven and how you're going to plan everything.
So backwards planning. All right. Do you write this down and with the times and all that kind of stuff?
Believe it or not, that's a great way to do it. I'm a very big fan of watching other chefs work, and Aaron from Franklin Barbecue does a lot of smoking, and he'll do 16, 18, 20-hour smokes. And he'll always start at the end. I want to have the brisket come off at this time, and then he'll work his way backwards. So I need to make sure that the temperature is at this point in time. I need to put more logs in at this time. I need to make sure that goes on at a certain time. So he always works his way from the finished product to the beginning instead of the other way around. And he actually writes it down, keeps a log, and he'll keep a log of what works and what doesn't work.
Sure, I'm starting to visualize that. I'm a very visual person, so I'm sort of seeing almost like a spreadsheet where it's like, okay, like you said, brisket needs to come out at this time, so I'm going to work backwards here. Now, let's see, what else do I need to put on? What else am I cooking? And then you could put it into timelines.
Right.
That's pretty brilliant.
That's exactly what he does. And he actually, because he's working with barbecue, he actually uses butcher paper, which he wraps his product in, and he'll actually tear that off at the beginning and put the finish time at the top and then just work his way all the way down. And he actually keeps those pieces of butcher paper.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, so and it was a great thing to watch. My family was nice enough to buy me for Father's Day the Masterclass program that you can get online, and his was the first class I took, and that was one of the things he had.
Oh my gosh, now I like that you just shared that. The reason why is you are a really renowned chef in the Sacramento region, and to hear that you're always looking for ways to continuously improve yourself, that's fantastic.
Yeah, it's the only way we're going to get better.
True, absolutely. That's a good secret to success, right?
Exactly. I can't be the same chef I was a year ago because then other people will pass me by, so I have to keep learning.
That's a really good point. Okay, so big tip is to get structured to relieve stress. Okay, so get structured. Anything else?
Well, when you work your plan, there's certain things you can do, and in the restaurant business, it's very important that you prep ahead of time.
Okay.
And we run into this almost on a weekly basis, where we'll walk in and it's a Monday morning, and if we haven't prepped over the weekend, then Monday it can be really difficult for us. So, for example, if you're making mashed potatoes are something you could do ahead of time and actually have them in the fridge and then reheat them on the day of, where you don't have to take up all that space in the kitchen making them, getting warm, doing all those kind of things. So a casserole or something along those lines will be a lot easier to do. And again, it goes into planning. It's one of those things you can make on Wednesday and just reheat on Thanksgiving Thursday. And that only takes about a half an hour or so to reheat. So it makes life a lot easier.
Oh, that's a great idea. I mean, I know I kind of do that a little bit too myself, and that does alleviate some of my stress on those high time cooking days, just where you're just in the kitchen all flipping day long. And it does help. And quite frankly, like when I make soups and that kind of stuff ahead of time, don't tell anybody my secret, Chef Joe, but I think it always tastes better the next day anyway.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And the other thing that makes a lot of this, putting this plan in place, is you'll realize that certain things can come in and out of the oven at time. For example, if the potatoes take 30 to 45 minutes to reheat, you could actually have your turkey pulled out of the oven and tented and cooling before you slice it when you put the potatoes in.
Okay, that is so smart. Instead of pulling it all out at the same time, then you have to let the turkey rest.
Right.
And then by the time it's rested and it's all relaxed and all good, all that good stuff, everything's cold.
Right. Exactly.
Okay,
and
so that's the tip. Okay.
That's a lot of timing and using what you have. For example, a lot of people don't think about this, but using an ice chest, not with ice in it, but if you make something in particular, not necessarily a turkey, but anything, even if you make potatoes or somebody brings something warm and you don't have a place to keep it warm because of the oven, you can go put it in an ice chest, wrap it in towels. The ice chest doesn't know if it's supposed to be hot or cold, so whatever's inside is the temperature it'll take.
Of course.
So put it right in the ice chest and it'll stay warm just like it was in your house somewhere.
Oh my gosh, I have never heard that tip before. You have just changed the whole Giacomini kitchen now. I'm telling you. Oh man, that's a game changer.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Sorry, I've got some help here at the house today.
That's awesome. Well, we love knowing that you're a dog lover too. So that's
I am a big dog lover.
All right, well, that's fantastic. Do you have any other tips for us today?
The last thing I would say, and I've run this into problems myself, is don't make something that special day that you've never made before. We hear a lot of people saying, I'm trying this recipe today, hopefully it comes out. And even though your family might not care if it's not perfect or something, it puts internal stress on yourself.
Yeah, it does.
So make sure if it's something you want to try that your family hasn't had before, try it during the month of October. Try it during the first few weeks of November. Kind of work your recipe and get it practiced. And then on Thanksgiving Day, you've done it already. So you'll know if it should take 2 hours as opposed to 3.5. You'll kind of have an idea. The last tip I'll say for Thanksgiving, which is really important, don't cross-contaminate. Be really careful with the turkey juice, drippings, blood, all those kind of things.
Yeah.
You want to really be careful. You want to thaw your turkey in the refrigerator, and you're going to need to take about 24 hours for every 5 pounds of turkey. So you can put in there 3 days ahead of time and let it thaw naturally that way. The important thing is put it in some sort of container. Leave it in the wrapping that it's in, but put it in a container so whatever drips will drip down and not into the rest of the refrigerator.
Oh man, that's a good point. I mean, I have to be honest, I sort of was raised kind of rednecky, and we thaw our turkeys in the sink for a couple of days.
Yeah.
I hate to admit it, but you're right. I should put it in the fridge, but then there's no room in the fridge.
Right. And part of that makes sense because I think we're all a little overly sensitive sometimes to what does and doesn't make people sick. I mean, we are so guarded right now with having our refrigerators and all these dilemmas about what needs to be kept clean and, all this bacteria on your counter and all. When we were growing up, if you got sick, you got sick, and, it not these horrible things. And now we think all these horrible things happen, but we somehow get trained that way.
Right. But you know what? That's not to take away from your points, because those are extremely valid points to be very careful about cross-contamination. It can make you really sick out there, people. So please listen to Chef Joe. I mean, I will thaw my turkey in the fridge now. I promise. So I challenge all of you out there to do the same thing.
There you go. And any of your listeners and viewers out there are more than welcome to send me an email at
Okay.
joe@crispcatering.com if they have any questions about the holidays or ways to take stress off or anything like that.
Will do. We'll have your email on the description of this episode as well, so people can also, if that was a little too fast for them, which was joe@crispcatering.com, we'll have it in the description on the link. And also, when you go to the Crisp Catering site, I recall seeing some recipes there that look very tasty. So you might want to be perusing some of those too, right?
Yeah, we have some great recipes, and my philosophy is we don't use tweezer food. We don't do tweezer food. We do nice food. We make it look good, but we do food that most people will want to eat. So our recipes tend to follow that pattern. So we don't do anything way out there that'll take you 4.5 hours to cook or where it takes all afternoon. We try to make things that are pretty easy that you can do pretty quickly.
Good. And I mean, of course, I'm surprised this wasn't one of your tips, but you know, people, if it's really that hectic, you can always plan ahead and call a caterer. There's no shame in that. There is no shame, people. So call a caterer if it's too much. It's
Exactly.
okay. That's a lot less stress.
That it is.
All right, Joe, well, we're going to wrap it up. But before we let you go, I'm just curious, what is your personal favorite seasonal stress buster?
My favorite seasonal stress buster is let yourself enjoy the holidays. When you get to the point where you feel just stressed over something that's coming up, almost have to treat it like work, where you have to basically say, okay, now I'm home, I'm going to give that up. I'm not going to worry about it till I go tomorrow. Give yourself that space to actually enjoy what's going on with your family, with your friends, because you're never going to get that time back. Tomorrow's not guaranteed. So enjoy it. So find those little blocks of time that you get to just relax. You've got to enjoy the holidays yourself too.
You're right. And of course, that's why we are doing this season of stress series, so we can help everybody alleviate some of that stress of the holiday season.
It's a great idea
Thank
to
you
do.
so much, Joe, for being here today. We really appreciate it. Great tips.
Thank you very much, Mickie.
You're welcome. All right, everybody. So those are some of the great tips that Joe has for us. And of course, my favorite stress buster is laughter. I really think it's really important to keep your sense of humor, especially during the holidays. And of course, I have my new book release, which is Surviving the Holidays, Holidays. So if you're looking for a little stress relief, read my book. You can get it today on Amazon at bit.ly/MissOMG Surviving. I'll have that in the description too. And as always, if you or someone you know would like to be a guest on Let's Talk Shop, give us a little zip through the email today at info.dragonflyranch@gmail.com. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.